So, I don't understand it. I really don't. We follow a sport that, in my humble opinion, is one of the most exciting sports in the world, particularly in motorsport. If you take a look at the supposed pinnacle of motorsport, F1, I have to say Speedway has more passing, outside as well as inside, more crashes if that's what floats your boat, better viewing, more accessibility to riders, and it's cheaper. So what's going wrong? Could it be the way Speedway conducts itself? It sometimes appears to forget that it's us, the supporters, that actually own the club, not the promoters. They're just borrowing it. I really feel that it's time for some heads to be knocked together. Only in Speedway.
And you're straight in, boy.
Good evening, everybody. How are we doing?
Not too bad, thank you.
Good. All good.
Comments on what I've just said?
Groundhog Day, isn't it, really? How many times have we started off shows by saying something along those lines?
It's
I know.
current theme, isn't it? It's a shame. Yeah,
I'd love to hear what everybody else that's listening, our viewer, if he or she has any comments to make. How would they do that?
They come straight on Facebook, right? And they search for UK Speedway Tavern. This week, we're not on YouTube or Twitter. I'll be posting the links up after.
Why are we not on YouTube and Twitter?
It's a cost thing, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a cost thing. They put the price up, so I can't be. I'm not going to do it.
How dare
No
they?
more.
How dare they? Okay, so but presumably you're putting the links on Twitter and on...
Yeah. That
so
will be
they
there
can
tomorrow.
find us.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, well, are there any comments coming forward so far?
No, there's plenty of people online, but no comments as of yet. Oh, there is, yeah. Evening, guys. Andy Haig. Have a great show. Alan Peter Welsh says, how do, from a very depressing Newcastle. And Simon says, yes. And Eric says, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was at Newcastle on Sunday, and I have to say, massive crowd. And I mean, Rob Grant came on halfway through and sort of said, well, you know, where was you earlier in the season? I don't know what to say. I feel for Newcastle being there. I mean, might still be there. We don't really know what's happening at Birmingham yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's try not to get too depressed and hope that in 6 weeks' time somebody's come forward and the name of Newcastle Diamonds continues.
It is quite damning, really, when you think about it, that you've got two massive cities in Birmingham and Newcastle that... there's grave doubts over the sustainability of Speedway because of the size of crowds. But, Newcastle have been established as a Speedway club for so many years, haven't they? And as I say, they've got the likes of Ivan Major and Nicky Pedersen and Ollie Olsen, who've done that famous black and white race jacket, and Birmingham as well. Obviously, Birmingham's been a bit more intermittent in terms of running over that period of time, but established now for 14 years, is it?
14, I think it is.
2007.
Yeah.
And it's just it sort of gives an indication of where Speedway is at the moment, to be honest. Obviously there's a lot more things going on in cities to grab people's attention, and that's what Speedway's having to fight for.
Can I just quickly say we have got a running poll, which is a first for us, and it's actually working.
Is it working?
Where's he running
do you know why it's working?
No,
how
I
it's working?
have no idea. But yeah,
where's he running to?
It's actually working, and obviously you can see from the red on that right hand screen that where people's views are lying at the moment. Interesting.
It's all doom and gloom. I mean, the only thing I will say is we have been here before with Speedway. And it's managed to rise, but I don't see how it happens. And what I said at the beginning, I don't understand. It is a really exciting sport. People that come and watch it for the first time almost invariably go, wow, because it is that sort of a thing. But then you have things that happen like that we mentioned with the red car situation. That people have to stare at tractors going around the track for an hour and a half.
It doesn't help, does it? It certainly doesn't help.
And too many tracks that don't try to entertain the fans in the downtime. I mean, the thing that was very noticeable at Newcastle, and this isn't me having a dig at Newcastle because that's certainly not the only one, and obviously they're in a particular situation at the moment. But there was a period of time during the meeting, I think it was after Heat 12 when they had the interval, and he did interview a few riders and stuff, but nobody was listening. You know, people were turning around talking to their mates or whatever. Nobody was listening. So they wasn't being engaged.
No, that's the problem, isn't it?
And so I don't. Other sports seem to find a way of engaging their public, and that's what Speedway needs to do.
Us three apparently should buy Newcastle. We're the money men.
I wish, like I think every other Speedway fan wishes Newcastle all the best. You know,
Absolutely.
Newcastle, as I said before, I've got, my mother's from Newcastle, my mum's family were all Geordies, so it's a city that's, I've got a lot of affection for, and I just hope that somebody, in the next 6 weeks can step forward and can see Speedway continuing up in the northeast.
Maybe Tony Mole thinks it might be a good idea.
One final hurrah for Tony Mole.
If you can bring the comments down, I think there was Craig Smee. Would you like to?
Right, okay. Needs a big overhaul in the winter. They need to take risks now as the current model isn't sustainable. Adrian Smith at Bellevue says it's almost weekly in the programme notes. He's a busy guy and he has some great ideas. The board should maybe listen to him. He's an outsider, hardly knew anything about Speedway when he came to Manchester. He said it's a fantastic sport but needs to be run better in order to survive.
No, that's very true, to be fair, what Craig said about the current model of three leagues. It's not working. It's not worked for a couple of years now. We're just watching the Daddy Longlegs that's flying around the studio.
Really?
Yeah.
There's loads about, isn't there?
Is that our new sponsor, is it? So for our new mascot? No, it's as I say, that structure of 3 leagues now, it needs really looking at, to be honest. They had a good opportunity, I think, during the season that never happened. Maybe look at this, but it seems like they just thought, well, we'll just pick up where we left off. But yeah, and that's another thing as well. I mean, people do have great ideas, but the problem is, and many people have said this in the past, the BSBL, they don't even seem to want to listen to what other people have got to say, do they?
They don't want to listen to each other, is the thing.
Yeah.
Because this is the unsustainability of the model that we run, which is everybody runs their own separate business and everybody gets a vote. So everybody is a member of the BSPL and gets a vote on it, and there isn't a person running it or a set of people running it that haven't got vested interests. So what Newcastle wants and what Birmingham wants and what Sheffield wants and what Poole wants are never going to meet, and so there's just big arguments all the time, and it just doesn't move.
Do you remember about 10 years ago, I think the Speedway Star did a special feature. They interviewed a promoter from every single club about what sort of direction they felt that Speedway should take. And I remember reading through that. I mean, you had one promoter on one page saying one thing, and then you turn over the next page, and the next promoter says, "Well, I wouldn't want to do that because that wouldn't be any good for me."
Yeah, well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
Now everybody's looking at what's good for them, and of course they are. They're running a business; they have to do that. Whereas there's nobody looking at and implementing things on the basis of what's good for the sport as a whole.
No, they do seem to be too preoccupied with trying to get one over on each other, don't they? Which,
I mean, let's be honest. What's not good for the sport on the whole is things like doubling up.
Nope,
it's not good for the sport.
Guests.
People, I think, are possibly a necessary evil.
It's
but
a necessary. Well,
it's how you get. But maybe get. I don't know. That needs to be looked at for sure. I mean, we was mentioning earlier that the team Birmingham took to Newcastle was sort of like a Birmingham select. Great to see Leon Flint riding for us, by the way. Had a great match. So, yeah, but that's the thing that needs. Without that changing, that bit of the model of been somebody or something at the top that hasn't got an interest in a club but has an interest in the whole of Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
Until that changes, can't see how anything else changes.
Well, it doesn't.
So,
I mean, I know someone a few years ago who, him and his brother put together a really good sort of brochure, professionally done as to what sort of direction Speedway should take, and it was properly laid out. It was very, very, very professionally done. Every single sector of it was broken down into why it should be done, and this was sent to every single promoter in the BSBL. Didn't even get a response or an acknowledgement.
Sean Simmer, well, yeah, I mean, does that surprise? I mean, I just glossed over that. Does that surprise anybody?
My jaw wasn't exactly on the floor when I found that news out. But that's,
Sean Simmer Simpson, I still believe midweek is tough nowadays. Weekend clubs seem to be faring slightly better. Newcastle are a Sunday club.
Certainly, yeah, that's right.
So
that's been the big loss, isn't it? Really, the loss of the Saturday night racing through Polish League, GPs, all that sort of thing. You know, I mean, as I say, I mean, when I started watching Speedway, you had Cradley, Coventry, Kings Lynn, Swindon, Bradford. All these clubs, they used to run on Saturday nights, and
During the war.
yeah, all those years ago.
But Birmingham always used to run. On a we used to run on a Monday night, and
Did they run on Friday night at Borsley? Was it?
And on Borsley, I think it was Friday night. Yeah.
I mean, Wolves always used to be a Friday night until '84, I think. So
and also I don't think that makes as much of a difference these days, because how many people work Monday till Friday?
that's it.
Not a lot of people do that anymore. Most people work, shift patterns of some description, whether it's across the week or, working longer hours.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Petrol costs a fortune as well, so they don't. After a long day's work, sometimes people don't really say, "Oh, I don't want to drive all the way across the city to go and watch the Speedway tonight. So I've had a busy day at work and things like that."
So all of these things have had an impact.
But
I think the GPs and Poland probably have the biggest impact, but I mean, as far as running weekends and so on, and which days that we can run,
yeah.
But I think it's time for us to sort of say, well, sod off, Poland.
Good luck saying that in court. So.
Yeah. In the sense of, okay, I mean that they keep flexing their muscles, and they keep saying, well, if you're riding in Poland, you can't ride for more than so many different clubs and everything. And maybe it's time. How many British riders currently ride in Poland? I can think of 2 offhand.
Yeah.
And they don't ride in this country.
Dan Bewley's possibly going to be the next one, I think.
So
if he keeps his current rise up.
Darren Pennock says nearly all riders double up, so there wouldn't be enough riders.
Well, we've had this discussion before, haven't we? Because when it started in, I think it was about 2001, 2002, the intention was it was only going to be for British under-21 riders, and they would only be able to do it for a couple of years. And then one club got one rider in, and so another one thought, well, if they can get him in, I'll do that. And I mean, you can have teams now where you've got 6 or 7 riders in your team that double up.
I'd turn that on its head, though. Would there be enough riders if riders didn't have to double up?
At the moment,
but more riders would come through quicker. And so, yes, you can't just say, bang, we're stopping doubling up riders.
It's the riders that want the doubling up, though. And I understand why, because they want the extra meetings for the extra money, and I don't blame them, because if I was a rider, I would as well.
Yeah, but the easiest way to get extra meetings is to put everybody in the same league, and then you can start. Then you don't have to have doubling up.
Yep.
And you have the extra meetings. But if there's a rider shortage, you possibly can't do that. So you have to do it. You have to have an aim point. You have to say, we've got ourselves into this mess. This is how we're going to get out over the next 2 years, 3 years, for whatever.
Yeah, it's not going to run overnight. It's got to be like a 4 or 5 year plan to get this.
Because
sorted.
let's be honest, if Speedway carries on the way it is, there will be enough riders.
Because there won't be enough
tracks.
tracks.
There won't be enough tracks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If it keeps on going the way it is, it'll deserve everything it gets, I'm afraid. That's the brutal reality of it.
Do you want an update on the polling situation? At the moment, it looks like, if I can read that.
Well, I can't read it, I must admit.
Oh, no, yeah. Well, it looks like 85% so far. No, that's 88% are sure that it's going to disappear.
Got some negative people on tonight, haven't we? So. Including the 3 people presenting it. So.
Simon Corbett says the biggest impact was teams winning the league and having to lose riders year after year for being successful. I think there is some truth in that.
I think there is, because I mean, it's a frustration really that a lot of people have said to me in the past. Speedway is one of the few sports that punishes failure and punishes success and rewards failure.
Yeah.
So.
It costs you more money if you got a success to build a successful team. It costs you more money to pay a successful team, because obviously they're paid by points. And then if you spend all that money and get a successful team, we turn around and say, well, you can't have those riders anymore.
No.
And your fans go...
Well, you've told the story about your lad, haven't you?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, shall I say that story again? Because it's pertinent.
Yeah.
So when we came back in 2007, Birmingham, I was so excited by the way. and my excitement breeded excitement in my lads. They'd got no idea what a speedway was, but I would talk them through a speedway match as if it was happening, as if it was on the radio. I'd make up a speed just to get them the idea of how it.
Yeah. And
we went and watched a speedway match at Coventry as well, in 2006. Because we knew what was happening. So anyway, 2007 came along and we had a really successful team. We came that close to making the playoffs. We did technically make the playoffs, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. And my oldest son, his favourite rider was a lad by the name of Ben Powell. Well, we know what happened to him.
Yes, we won't go into it.
But this was before all of that. And his favourite rider was Ben Powell, and Ben used to come and talk to him and so on.
Yeah.
His other favourite rider was Ulrich Ostergaard, by the way, who we lost halfway through the season. That didn't help him.
Yeah.
So 2007 come and went by, and then 2008, and I think we had 2 riders from the original team, which was... I think it was Lee Smart and Jason Lyons, of course.
Yep.
Who was the only constant through all of that period. And his favourite rider, Ben Powell, wasn't there. Just totally lost interest.
Went to Newcastle, didn't he, I think?
Yeah. He just totally lost interest. And he came and watched a few matches, but he kept saying, I don't want to come. And eventually we lost him to Speedway.
Yeah.
So, it's one of the reasons why Speedway's not attracting young people, because young people do get their idols, I bet you can think of when you was young who your idol was.
Well, I was fortunate, to be fair, because the Wolverhampton team at the time seemed to be sort of a nucleus of riders that were always with the club year in, year out. I mean, everybody knows my favourite Wolves rider was Ronnie Corrie. I mean, and Ronnie was with the club for 3 or 4 consecutive years. The only reason Ronnie ended up being lost to Wolves for a period of time was because he had a back injury that he missed 18 months, and of course when he came back, Wolves couldn't fit him in for a couple of years. But there was the continuity, and then you get to saw the riders that you enjoyed watching, and you saw them every week for a space of 2 or 3 seasons in a successful team.
You got to know them as a person as well, because
right,
you'd meet them, and which is the big advantage Speedway has over other sports.
Yeah. That's one thing where Wolves have always been very good, I think, is loyalty to riders. Sometimes maybe it does backfire on them when they maybe stick with riders a little bit too long, but it's not that often that happens, to be fair. So,
yes, Alan, Peter Welsh, that was me. I did have a blue bag. Apparently I look different without headphones. Well, it started off as a blue bag. I actually sat in some curry and...
oh, no.
So, yeah, that's another story.
Vegetable, I hope.
Yes, it was vegetable.
Good.
Craig Smith says, people say one league wouldn't work. I don't see how it wouldn't. If you added cup competitions, where's it disappeared to? Where's he gone?
Where's he gone? That was great.
Where have you gone?
Scroll down. Scroll down. Carry on.
He's disappeared. I'm sorry about this.
There's his story at the bottom there. Yeah.
Surely there's enough young riders from Sweden, Australia, Denmark, UK, Australia, etc. You could ride home and away in league twice, knockout cup competitions, best pair meetings, 14 tournaments. That's easily 40 to 50 meetings a season, with playoffs at the end of season to do away with doubling up. Also, there is some sense in that. I mean, the reason people say one league wouldn't work is because it didn't work before.
Yeah.
That's the reason people are worried about that.
Well, there is a variety of reasons as to why it didn't work before, because it was done on the terms of the top league, who agreed terms and then conveniently seemed to forget them.
Yeah.
Within a space of a few weeks.
So yeah, it needs to be done properly. I mean, I would say that the power in the BSPL at the moment lies in the championship anyway, just by dint of the fact that there's more teams. So.
Albeit, of course, the championship at the moment with several clubs facing an uncertain future in that. But I mean, the 14 tournaments. I mean, I remember the 14 tournament when that was in the top league. I mean, they used to put in fantastic crowds. You know,
well, they would do, because you've got 4 teams, so you've got crowds from.
Well, we used to be in the Northern Group with Bradford, Bellevue, and Cradley, and all 4 meetings. You got all those 4 teams as well had some top class riders in it at the time as well. So you got great crowds, and Wolves never used to win it, to be fair. But I mean, it was always it was a unique meeting, to be honest.
So I think it's certainly a way of stopping doubling up.
Yeah, doubling up is the one thing that I think has sort of really hit Speedway hard over the last few years. It's sort of become like an animal that they can't control, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Simon Corbett, I'm going to take issue with this. Being a Cradley fan, Pennell, Gunderson and Schwartz were unknowns. We made them great. Well, I would say that Pennell and Gunderson made themselves great.
They could have, of course, if things had been different, they may have ended up at Wolves, of course. There's a possibility that Wolves could have ended up with Gunderson, Pennell and Hans Nielsen in the team at the same time, but it didn't show the vision.
And I wouldn't agree that Schwartz was great. So he was okay.
Bobby Schwartz. He's still riding, I think, as well. I think he's riding over in the States, isn't he? Still, he's.
So there we go. We should talk about the GP. We should actually, before we do anything else, we should talk about a loss to Speedway this week.
Yes.
Many of you will know that I believe it was heart trouble.
Yeah.
I might be wrong with that. But we lost Dave Tatum. As if Newcastle haven't having enough problems at the moment. We lost Dave Tatum, long-time Stoke Speedway promoter, of course. Not a lot to say, except our thoughts go to his friends and family and all those that knew him.
It was nice that the message that Graham Drury put on social media to mark his passing as well. I mean, Dave Tatum, he got quite a bit. To be fair, he did get quite a bit of stick from a lot of the Stoke promoters, especially during the latter part of his run.
You mean the Stoke supporters?
Stoke supporters, yeah. So, but the one thing that you could never criticise Dave Tatum for was his work rate. He worked tirelessly. He did a lot. Some people might say he took probably too much on when he was at Stoke. I mean, even doing the track and things like that. But he spent a lot of time at Stoke, and he kept them going for quite a long period of time until, of course, they ended up being forced out at the end of 2019. But a very sad loss. Very sad loss.
A real Speedway man. Yeah. I mean, there's not many of those left anymore. So
agree with Craig. One league looks the only option, says Richard.
Well, they are running out of options now, I think. I think as Mike said before, I think the only reason they haven't gone down to one big league before is because you had people saying, "Oh, no, can't do that. It didn't work last time." But
and that's very Speedway.
Yeah.
Didn't work last time. But because it didn't work, it can't work. It didn't work. Why didn't it work?
People want to see variety, and unfortunately, certainly in the top league, with only 6 teams, okay, you can tolerate it this year because it's because of the circumstances we're in a shorter season, but there's no way they can do that long term.
I tell you something else that Speedway needs. It needs more rivalry. So rivalry between the riders for a start off. I mean, we've all got great stories of such and such doing this and that happening, and we can all think of those stories that don't happen anymore because these, you might be riding against a rider who's riding for another team, but you're riding with that rider in another team the next day.
Yeah.
So that sort of rivalry doesn't happen. Rivalry between supporters. Look what happened. We keep harking on about it, but it's relevant again. The Birmingham Red Car meeting, when all of a sudden we was in direct opposition to Red Car, the atmosphere was electric.
Yeah.
Incidentally, I don't know whether I should tell you this, but I'm going to.
Go on then.
So our announcer Richard Guest,
Ryan Guest.
our guest. That's a great
Out,
yeah. That's a great name, isn't it? By the way, for somebody at Speedway.
Yeah.
Our guest.
Who's coming in next week? Our guest.
Our guest, yeah. He got told off by the referee for doing a Brummie war cry.
Yes.
Oh,
What?
okay.
He did. He did regale that story to me last week.
All right.
Ryan, so
He got told off by the referee. Got a warning from the referee for doing a Brummie war cry.
Oh, I'm going to give him this.
Who's that to?
What?
Is that to the referee or to?
Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm keeping stum.
Because I know you don't like the war cries, but that's not. It's not about the war cries.
No.
What she was saying that he was basically that he could incite the crowd for doing a Brummie war cry.
Oh, for God's sake!
Right.
has this referee ever been to Mamba? Listen to Porky.
Well, it's funny enough that did come up.
Yeah.
And it's just mad. It's madness. We're not football crowds. We don't go thumping people. I know there's certain stories from Cradley and Wolverhampton times, but
Yes, talking about that.
but that it's part of the entertainment, and it should be allowed to be part of the entertainment. I mean, I know Chris Simpson got into a lot of trouble, and I thought he was a really good announcer at Perryborough. I think he thought he got into trouble in that infamous Poole versus Birmingham
Money.
Yeah, when they won, he played money when they was collecting the trophy. Because obviously there's this big thing about them buying with Greg Hancock and everything, and he was not allowed to announce for us again.
Pathetic.
Which it's a joke, isn't it? It's quite literal. Oh, hello. Oh, Chris has got
That's
a new
me
button.
spooky.
He's got a new button. So there you go.
No, we do. I think not just in Speedo, but really as a nation, we do seem to be offended by everything now. That way, which is sad.
All right, I think we've done enough of this. I think it's time. No, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go and have a talk about the GP because it's a bit spicy at the moment.
Ooh.
Yeah. Have you got the standings? I bet you have.
GP? No.
Good job.
Can you make it up as you're going on?
Yeah, I've got them on my phone.
Actually,
I've got them on my
would.
phone, don't worry. So at the
well
moment,
done.
Tatum Laguta leads on 158. Bartos Smollett, the defending champion, 157. So it is a two-horse race.
I remember a few weeks ago we were saying probably a one-horse race, and then all of a sudden Laguta's gone mad.
Yeah, yes.
He had that bit in the sort of middle of the GP season where he didn't seem to be able to do anything right, really. And then all of a sudden he's gone absolutely mad. It's gonna be. Is it? Where's it? Warsaw?
Torun.
Is it? Torun.
Yeah.
Torun. I was going to say Torun, and I thought no, it's not Torun,
Yeah.
but I was right. 2 more meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Friday and Saturday. Wow, that'd be an exciting place to be.
Yeah, it's. I'm trying to think the last time the final round of the series was this close. I think probably 2003 when Crump and Pedersen had a point between them.
The thing is, it can't be decided on the first meeting either.
No.
So somebody's going to have a sleepless night.
They could end up tying, and could end up having a run-off.
Well,
which has never happened in the JP era. So
wouldn't that be something?
yeah, ultimately goes to that. At the moment, he looks to be the guy who's got the momentum, hasn't he? He was superb last time out in Voyens. And I suppose obviously, it'd be fantastic. I mean, Boss Martic's been a fantastic world champion for the last 2 seasons.
The former Birmingham man.
Yeah, for one meeting. For one meeting, yeah. It's
Coventry can claim that Saifutin off as a former Coventry man. And
he rode more than one meeting, to be fair, though, didn't he? So it's.
I think Smarsley rode two home meetings. Anyway, they're beside the point. Yeah, I mean, who are you going to put your money on?
Well, I mean,
hold your horses. Just a thought. We should make this part of our league thing. Who's going to win?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually.
So we'll I mean, we'll do that now. But we'll also add it.
Yeah,
on the
I
end.
have put this week's fixtures up on the chat, by the way.
Okay.
Not on the chat, on the
Messenger.
On the messenger page.
Yeah, I'll get that up in a second. Yeah, okay.
Those are up. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. Quite a good idea for you, that is. So,
I have one a year.
and he's just one as well. Yeah.
I mean, Laguti's got the momentum, hasn't he? But I mean, Smalslick's got the experience, obviously, of knowing what it takes to.
And it'll be in Poland
to win a championship. He's going to have home. He's going to have the whole of Poland behind him, isn't he? So.
I'd love to be able to go to it.
It would, it'd be. I mean, if he does win it, as I say, only other riders done it 3 times in a row. Of course, is the late great Ivan Major. So he would be in really esteemed company if he could do it 3 times in a row.
And nobody in the GP
no,
area.
even the great Tony Ricarlton never managed to win it 3 times in a row. I just think Smarslick's experience might edge it, but it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up tied and it went into a runoff.
That would be something, wouldn't it? There might be runoffs anyway because of
top 6 and top 3, of course, as well. Hemel Foden's got 3rd at the moment on 121, and Freddie Lindgren, who's astonishingly, of course, is bounced back from that crash at Vines a couple of few weeks ago, 119. So
there's possibilities there. Is it the top 6 that?
It is the top 6, yeah.
So do you think Ty Woffington, is he safe now?
He's in 5th on 96 with Magic. That's Magic Janowski. I mean, there's another one. After a couple of rounds, he was banging in maximums left, right, and centre, wasn't he? Even in the league in Poland, and his form has just dropped right off the cliff, hasn't he? So if Ty's not guaranteed a top 6 spot, then there's Magic Janowski. Janowski's 95. Leon Madsen's just outside on 82.
Madsen, I mean, he nearly won it last year. There's a lot of riders down there that you think, well, under normal circumstances, you'd be looking at a wild card for them to come back in. But there's too many of them, isn't there?
That's it, yeah.
It's
Sweden's the astonishing one, because after Freddie Lindgren, they've not really got anybody else, have they? To be honest, Oliver Burtonson looks out of his depth in the GPs, unfortunately.
You can say the same for us.
Well, we have got riders coming through, in fairness. I don't really see that in Sweden at all.
No.
Unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Maybe if we get one league, we might see a few more Swedish riders.
Which is astonishing when you consider what a pedigree Speedway's got in Sweden.
Yeah, absolutely.
You going to make your prediction, or are you going to wait until...
I'm going to... More out of hope than for any sort of knowledge, I'm going to say Schmarzlik, because that's who I would like to win. I just think he's great for the sport, just the way he rides. Laguta's more of a gate and go type.
Yeah, I think I said a few weeks ago, my brother was saying that he, in a lot of ways, ultimately Laguta reminds him of Eric Gunnarsson. Similar racing style, very fast out the start. Even the colour of his leathers, yellow and white. It's very reminiscent of Electric Eric. So you certainly wouldn't bet against him, but I just think...
I think we just did.
Yeah. But I just think with Smarslick, with his experience might just have the edge.
Right, well... There we go. We're still looking at this thing with the league and everything. Craig Smith says there's big gaps between meetings in the top league, especially Sheffield didn't ride their home track for 6 weeks during this season. There needs to be consistently weekly meetings in order for clubs to promote. How can you promote to a new audience by saying, "Oh, we're racing Monday," but then you'll have to wait 3 weeks to come back again?
Do you know, this is one thing that I've never ever been able to get my head around with Speedway. Why do clubs have great big long gaps during the fixture list, and then come the end of October, at the end of August, they suddenly go on a mad dash to cram everything in and start having double headers?
I mean, it's not so. There is something about it that's not true with what he says, because, like for instance, in football, you always have a 2-week gap between home meetings, don't you? It's home away, home away, home. But there is a consistency.
Sort of, yeah.
There is a consistency to that. What did you make of the Speedway of Nations?
I've seen bits of it. From the bits I've seen of it, weren't particularly impressive, to be honest.
I did see the red car manager complaining about the track. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, the track was... I only saw the Friday meeting because I had to go to a stupid wedding on the Saturday. But
What was it, stupid?
because it was a wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Silly glow.
Yeah.
Let's kill that one.
Yeah.
Update on our poll.
Okay.
Can you see Speedway disappearing in the UK? No, 0%. Yes, 86%. Not sure, 14%.
Wow. That's not...
That's not good, is it, to be honest?
No. There we go. And there is one problem Speedway has. Far too many bad adverts for the sport went on TV, says Darren.
Yeah, this is where a highlights package, I think, would be more beneficial to Speedway than a... Still have the live meeting, yes, but have a highlights package as well, because the amount of meetings that you watch
have a
on
match
the telly...
of the day type.
Yeah,
format
because the
thing.
amount of times you have meetings on the telly and there's awful racing served up is not great.
Like a Speedway show showing clips of races, you mean, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
It's a great idea, that is, yeah. Somebody should do that.
We could reduce to 6 or 5 rider teams. That would reduce the wages bill.
I think if they did go for the one big league, they may have to reduce the number of riders in the team, to be honest. So, certainly in the interim period to cope with the rider ability.
I don't think they will go for one big league. I think they might go for 2 leagues. I think you'll still have a development league, and I think you probably still need to have a development league.
There still needs to be some form of development league, to be honest.
And Roger Dankney says, so they can put Hans Anderson at reserve. It's unfair. What, Peterborough?
Well, I should say Peterborough aren't actually doing anything wrong with that, but...
Well, if it's all averages.
They are taking... I don't know how they've managed to keep him at reserve for the length of time that he's been there. I know he's probably not had the best of seasons, Hans Anderson, to be fair, but it's it gives them a big advantage. It wasn't much of an advantage for them last night, to be fair, but obviously we'll probably come on to that in a bit, but...
I've got to say, I can't understand how we've kept Paco at reserve.
I don't know how they work.
How Grabbar isn't at reserve.
I don't know how they work these averages out, to be honest.
So, but he is. Apparently, Matt is simple.
Yeah, well, I know that's I've known that for quite a long period of time. I don't need anybody else to tell me.
He's got you spot on, hasn't he, there, Matt? You know what I mean? He knows you so well.
I think he's trying to say, Matt, it's simple rider availability.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
No, I think he got it right first time.
Yeah.
I think he did as well, to be fair.
Oh, an update on our poll.
Oh, okay.
An update. Somebody's put no. 4% now we've got.
Wow.
That's good.
Come on, no.
Well, promise you it wasn't me.
No, it definitely wasn't me.
We have got a meeting on tonight, I think, by the way, haven't we, down at Kent? So I'll just have a quick check on
Yeah, if you could,
that one. Kent against Leicester.
I shall get the fixtures up.
Yes, I can.
You can talk amongst yourselves.
You do.
It's finished down at Kent.
Okay.
Kent 37, Leicester 53. That's a bit of a surprise, that one
It is, isn't it?
I think I'll put Kent to win that one on the prediction. So that
I think
one's
you
obviously
did.
gone a bit wrong. So because Kent have been, that's probably finished off Kent's chances of getting in the top 6 now. I think, isn't it? So it's really down to either Birmingham or
Scunthorpe
to get that last spot.
Well, Birmingham have got to win tomorrow against Newcastle, which they will.
Yeah.
I think they'll get all 6 points.
Or 6.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? That'd do us,
3.
actually. that would do us. And we need to, then we need to go to Glasgow to get a draw. It's not likely, is it? But
Then again,
look what
You never
happened. I mean, we haven't spoke about that. This year, there's been so many results that have gone. Like the Kent Leicester one just, and Sheffield against Peterborough. Peterborough against Sheffield, I should say. Last night,
the result didn't surprise me, to be honest. The scale of the scoreline did.
51-39, was it?
Yeah, the scale of the scoreline did. I don't know whether it was. People say whether it was complacency from Peterborough. You know, the two tracks are very, very similar, aren't they? So
Puts Wolves in the box seat as far as finishing first.
well,
doesn't it,
unless
you think?
I think unless Kingsland pull off the shock of all shocks by winning at Peterborough on Thursday, then Peterborough will get the top spot.
Okay.
Then it's a question of who they pick.
Go Kings Lynn. That's what you're saying. It doesn't really matter, though, does it? Because it's top 6, isn't it?
Top 4.
Top 4. Oh, it's top
There's
4.
6 teams in the league, so they're not going to all get the
top
playoffs.
6. Of course.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be much point in running the league, would there? You'd just go straight to the playoffs.
I suspect Peterborough will pick Wolves, you know, if they get picked.
Yeah, because they
And the reason for saying that is Sheffield and Bellevue have both been to Peterborough and won this season.
They've both got big fast tracks,
Yeah,
haven't they?
and we don't have a particularly good record at Peterborough, to be honest. It's not, you know, Sam Masters has had 2 poor meetings there this season.
And Peterborough's been to Wolverhampton and beat you.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think the logical. I mean, they were talking about this on the telly last night. Calvin Tatum seemed quite astounded by the prospect that Peterborough might pick Wolves. It's not. Certainly wouldn't astound me if they picked Wolves. To be honest, to me at the moment it would look the logical thing to do. I don't think Peterborough will be picking Sheffield based on. Maybe to a point the track benefited Sheffield a little because the track wasn't great last night, which was a shame because I think that had the potential. That had the potential to be an absolute cracker of a meet in its own. Sheffield, if they fire, you wouldn't rule them out.
I think we picked them as an outside bet at the beginning of the season, both of us.
I mean, nobody seems to be talking about Bellevue, do they? To be honest,
No.
but you certainly wouldn't discount Bellevue either.
This season of all seasons, it's anybody's, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is. Right, so we're going to do our league table predictions thing for those of you that want to join in. You can do so by. How do they join in?
Looking on the shout box and predicting the score.
Yes, but if they don't do that tonight, how do they?
They can go onto the group and put their predictions anytime, as long as it's before.
I have put the fixtures on the group, by the way.
You have, well done.
The Facebook group.
Yes. Facebook group, okay. Yes, yeah. The table is looking like thus. Simon Corbett is way ahead now, isn't he? 123 points. I think that T-shirt is his. Yes,
I think some of us might be tempted to go and put some sugar in his engine.
I wondered where you was going with that for a second.
Close-ish second. John Bird, Matt Book, Dow Twine, Elliot Hunt, Dylan Spuddy Hodgetts, Mike Harris. Just 1 point ahead of Chris Brown. Wow. Ben Clifton, he's climbing. Jeff Daniels, Craig Smee, Andrew Garner, Brian Book, Richard and Darren. And I think there's another one as well. But
Lawrence.
So far down, he's not even on there.
Yeah, someone called Lawrence Rogers, I think.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It was interesting that you and me got exactly the same results last week.
Yeah. You copied me.
Why would I do that?
I don't know.
Right, shall we get on with this?
Okay.
Right, that's it, is it? Just those few matches there?
That's the upcomings, is it? Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So starting with tomorrow, Birmingham versus Newcastle.
I'll go for Birmingham by 12.
Birmingham by 6.
I hope you're wrong. Birmingham by 16.
Oh.
I just got a feeling.
Going above me.
And then we have Glasgow versus Leicester in the Championship.
I'm going to go Glasgow by Glasgow. That's who that is. Glasgow. Oh, Glasgow by 6.
You got your draw prediction as well, didn't you? Last week.
Did you? That must be first one.
I think you got it right.
Wasn't it double points for draws?
Don't think I did.
There was a draw, and I thought it. Okay. Well, anyway, Glasgow versus Leicester. I'm going to say the reason I thought that's because I'm thinking I might go draw, but I'm not going to go draw. I'm going to 2 points to Glasgow.
I'm going to say the same scoreline, but the other way around. I'm going to say 2 points to Leicester.
Okay. Interesting. Paul versus Redcar. That's down to me. I'm going to say, after a 3-hour wait for I can't say it. Paul versus Redcar, and I'll say Paul by 12.
I'll say Pool by 6.
I'll say Paul by 10.
Okay. Peterborough versus Kings Lynn. Up to you, man.
Just win Kings Lynn, for heaven's sake. Peterborough by 14.
I'll go Peterborough by 10.
Don't think they'll make any mistakes after last night, Peterborough.
Peterborough by 12. Just go in the middle there.
Yeah, one of us will be right.
Yeah.
What a pivotal voice in this next one could be.
Glasgow versus Birmingham. I've got to say it, haven't I? It's it's your choice, isn't it?
No, I went first last time.
Did you?
I think it's mine.
So it's
isn't
your
it?
choice.
Yeah, it's mine. Oh, okay. Just to please Mike, I'm going to go Glasgow by 10.
This is probably going to lose me the point to you in the league.
No, yeah.
I'm going to say a draw.
Oh, it's not going to happen, is it, a draw?
It's what we need.
I'll
not gonna happen.
I'll say Glasgow by 10. No.
Armadale versus Leicester. I will say Armadale by 6.
Armadale by 4.
Armadale by 8.
And then we have... it's all disappeared.
Sorry, there we go.
It's all disappeared.
Yeah.
It's all gone
Leicester
blank.
v Kent in the Championship.
Leicester versus Kent. That'll be... is it your go, my go? Your go. Go on then.
Leicester by 14.
Ooh. I'll go Leicester by 10.
Leicester by 16.
Okay, then following that is the end deal. Meeting between the two sides.
Sheffield. Oh, we got Sheffield versus...
No, Leicester v Kent in the NDL.
Oh, missed that.
NDL,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Leicester versus Kent in the NDL. I think that's down to you.
I'll go Leicester by 10.
Leicester by 6.
Kent by 2 on that one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sheffield versus Kings Lynn. I'm going to say Sheffield by 12.
Well, they're going to be buzzing after last night, aren't they? So, Sheffield by 18.
Sheffield by 16.
And the last one, it's not the last one. It's
No, Kent v Beric is the last one. So-
yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Mildenhall versus Beric. Is that to me? It is, isn't it? I'm going to say Beric by 4.
Mildenhall by 6.
I'll go Mildenhall by 6 as well.
I'm hoping that's the one that's going to...
Yeah.
And then we have Kent versus Beric in the NDL.
Kent by 4.
It's up to me.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to say? I'm going to go Kent by 10.
I'll have to say Kent by 8.
Ooh.
Okay. So, everybody else get your scores up and we'll...
There's a few already up there. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
there's quite a few up there. Yeah, get them up there and put them on the group if you haven't put them on the shout box, and we'll catch up. Matt will catch up
during the week, yeah.
yeah.
We're on getting a bit of free time.
Yeah. When do you do it? During work or something?
Oh, yeah, I'll sit there doing that during work.
I bet you do, yeah.
I'm sure my gaffer would be delighted if he saw me doing that while I was there.
So, for the last 10 minutes, shall we have a chat about the championship, the playoff situation, and who we think is probably the favourite to win it? I'm thinking at the moment, I hate to say it, but I think Paul. We would have been saying Glasgow a few weeks ago, but
Glasgow were Glasgow probably, if anything, peaked too early, didn't they? They haven't been quite as convincing in the second half of the season. Red car, I wouldn't rule red car out, to be honest. It'd be interesting to see how that goes tomorrow.
Yeah, they won't have enough time to get their matches in. They're complaining about the tracks. I'm sorry. I'm only
Don't rule Leicester out. I don't think. I mean, Poole are the favourites, I think, but it's not a cast on certainty though. When Leicester, I think, look to be probably their biggest danger. I wasn't particularly convinced with Edinburgh last week at Perrybar. I have to say, I enjoyed the meeting last week at Birmingham. It was a pretty good meeting, to be honest.
On a well prepared track.
Yeah. Apart from that one little tiny spot on the first bend, but other than that, it was a very good racetrack, and there was some good racing. I think that's what they needed, to be honest.
Yes.
After what had happened the week before.
Yeah, absolutely.
I spoke to Ashley Morris after the meeting, and and he was buzzing. I mean, he rode well, to be fair.
He did ride well.
Rode very well.
Yeah. It was like the Ash of old.
Yeah.
It really was. And I mean, they all rode well. I mean,
Valentin Gravard struggled, didn't he? But on the track, but
I always forget about him because at the moment I don't know what's wrong there, because he looked like he was a tidy rider when he started the season.
Yeah.
And it's just gone downhill.
By the way, once we know what that first semi-final in the Premiership is, we will put that one on as well. Obviously, we'll know in 48 hours, of course. So that's in answer to what Dave's put on there about.
Oh yeah, before
that's why we haven't put it on at the moment there, because we don't know what the match is.
No, exactly.
So. Should we have an update on our live poll?
Why not?
Okay, there we go.
Have we got a dead poll?
So it's still 4% saying no, yes 85%, and not sure 12%.
I like this poll. We'll have to do it. Yeah.
Well, we can do it every week now. Then we know it works.
Then we know how to do it. We don't know how it works. We just know how to do it.
We haven't got a clue how it works. Yeah. But that's quite interesting. Yeah.
In actual fact, if people want to give us their suggestions for a poll,
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Then
And maybe we should have a poll about it.
A poll about it. Let's not get too silly. Come on. Pull yourself together, man.
Oh, sorry.
Pull yourself together.
I've had a long day.
Yeah, 4:20 you got up this morning?
No, 4:20 I was working.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, yeah.
it explains a lot.
It's matchsticks, I'm telling you. Matchsticks.
Yeah, I mean, we both agreed then that Pool's probably the favourite, but again, it's not cut and dried. And a lot will depend on whether, obviously, injuries and stuff play a part. Track preparation plays its part. Yeah. Craig Smee says, if Speedway did disappear in the UK based on the poll, how long do you think it would be before other countries followed? He said, surely have a detrimental effect on the sport as a whole.
It's dog eat dog, isn't it?
What
I
a
suppose, in a lot of
good
senses.
question.
I don't know. I mean, obviously Poland's in the box seat, but there's even sort of murmurings of problems in Poland, isn't there? So
Yeah.
I think
until Speedo rids itself of the age-old problem of self-interest, then it's going to keep going in this whirlpool, isn't it?
How do the leagues in Sweden work and Denmark work and Poland work? Is it a similar sort of self-interest situation, or have they got people running it?
I definitely isn't the same in Poland, because I think Poland, the clubs are owned by the local councils, aren't they? So
Right.
I don't.
How does that work?
What a
where
weird
it's- where it's-
situation.
That must be fantastic, really.
Yeah. Well, it's a massive. Well, at the end of the day, it's a massive sport in Poland, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they get bumper crowds for league matches. I think they get the sort of crowds that British promoters would absolutely love, would do anything to.
Half of, yeah.
So the question is, what are they doing different?
Well, they've got stronger leagues for a start. I mean, obviously, all the top riders race over there. I mean, obviously, with us not having any speedway last year, I did watch a couple of meetings from the Polish league. I wasn't overly impressed with the quality of it, to be honest.
The quality of the racing.
Yeah. I mean,
Whenever I've watched it, I've thought, And all the tracks are very similar, of course, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. There is a variety of tracks, obviously, in the UK, but I wasn't overly impressed with the.
What about
quality of
cost? What about cost? Does it cost a lot to go and watch a Polish meeting?
I don't think it does, but
they have got better sponsorship deals there, haven't they?
And also they don't earn as much money in Poland as we do over here. So,
but they're having good
even
gates,
a smaller
so,
amount would be a bigger part of their wage.
So they must be able to afford it.
Track preparation over there as well is completely different to what it is in the UK. I mean, you've got a whole fleet of tractors working on the track in Poland, whereas, of course, in this country you might get a tractor that was new in about 1950 working on the track, chugging around the track. So.
Yeah.
The Poles have a massive TV deal which runs into millions. Says Jeff Daniel.
The thing that we just shot ourselves in the foot with. We had a fantastic TV deal with Sky at the beginning.
Yeah, as I've said before.
Yeah,
and that money was whittled away on riders, and not used on upgrading stadiums, on looking after the fans.
Part of that money should have been set aside to put into the
package
of the sport, but unfortunately, I think again, self-interest and greed got in the way. Unfortunately, so.
Dave Twine says, if Speedway vanished, I would suggest a Speedway Scramble League oval circuit with scramble quality track. No problem with track preps. Why not? Possibly because I'm not sure people would go and watch it.
Well, I applaud what the Isle of Wight are doing, to be fair, but I don't think every single track would want to do that every single week, to be honest.
No.
That's not being disrespectful to...
The Isle of Wight has a slightly different
there,
demographic, don't they? Because they have holiday crowds coming in looking for things to do. So the only time I've ever seen what's the cars? Stock cars. Thank you. Is when I was on holiday.
Yeah, it's not really racing though, is it? Stock cars, I don't think. But
I didn't enjoy. I couldn't work out who was winning. I got lost after about 10 laps.
I still don't know what the rules are.
Yeah,
that is the rules.
I think it's basically just running other people off the track, isn't it? That's what they
kill.
Do scramble bikes have silencers?
So that's another thing. That's another thing that I think hasn't helped Speedway in this country is the regulation on silencers. Now I know obviously there are. Birmingham being one of them that were...
It helped us.
It helped obviously keeping the sport running in Birmingham. But I've said this before to people there. I think the quality of racing at Monmouth Green has deteriorated in coincidentally with the advent of the new silencers, because it doesn't. You don't have the sound anymore. You don't really have the smell anymore. I mean, the smell was one of the first things that attracts so many people, isn't it? The smell of bikes.
The smell is down to the oil.
Yeah,
and they don't use that oil.
You don't
anymore.
Get it now. Yeah, you don't get that. You don't get that.
That's not down to the silencers. That's down. They don't use that oil.
Yeah.
What was it? GTX. I think.
Yeah.
Doesn't get used anymore. It's not.
Yeah,
not in production. So that's where that smell
going to the press and practice at the start of the season, and you get in the car, and that's the first thing that smell hits you.
First thing I remember from 2007. I went, oh, I'm home. I'm home.
No, that was me. That was sorry about that. Right then, final results are in. Can you see Speedway disappearing in the UK? Our poll said no, 11%. Yes, 79%. Not sure, 11%. There we go.
I think everybody can see the writing on the wall, but we hope Castro. That was it.
That's
Thanks,
the one,
Nick. Let's hope we're all wrong. Let's hope that surely at some point they've got to go, we need to change this. Haven't they?
They've got
Isn't it strange where it's a sport where we all know the problems are, but we're not going to fix them?
And on that note,
on that bombshell, it's time to end.
Take care, everyone. See you next week. We're coming up to playoffs, guys. Good luck to Birmingham against Newcastle tomorrow. Get yourselves down there.
Yeah.
Get yourselves down to your Speedway track this week. That's the best way to keep the teams. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.